What's your most embarrassing sex story? My girlfriend and I went on a picnic by canoe out to a island where there would have been no one around for at least a few kilometers. Long story short, she starts giving me a blowjob, which went on for a few minutes until I start to hear a strange noise getting louder. All of a sudden a search and rescue helicopter flies over the tree line and comes to a stop above us. It stayed there for a few seconds before turning around and flying back in the direction it came from. Turn back. Turn back. We are cock blocking him. Was going really hard. Pushed a little bit too hard and farted right as I came. A girlfriend might have laughed it off. My Tinder date did not. My GF and I suffered through a 9-month long distance relationship, and one time after a long travel day to see her, I was going down on her. Well, jet lag hit me pretty hard and I fell asleep. Face down in between her legs. No greater place to fall asleep. Lol. I suppose I can't argue with that, haha. Was home for summer from college. My neighbor and I had been secretly hooking up for a little bit, and she had been over a few days before when my parents were gone. Came home one day and my mom was staring daggers at me. She said, "You have a mess to clean up," because I'm not doing it. I had no clue what she was talking about. Then she said to go look under the dining room table. Underneath it was a used condom that I had thrown into the bathroom trash can wrapped in toilet paper. My dog thought it would be cool to bring it downstairs and chew on it under the table. The family dog is always the biggest snitch, and I will not be convinced otherwise. Tried to pick a girl up and lay her down on a bed. Failed miserably. It was dark. We were slightly drunk. Slammed her head onto bedside table and knocked her out. 15 years later, she still sends an occasional selfie wearing a helmet. Was having sex with my boyfriend. He flipped me over so we could do it doggy style. All going well. Suddenly I feel a lukewarm liquid splashing on my back. After a few seconds of splashing I stop and I'm like, WTF is going on back there? I turn around to find my BF sipping a mug of tea. He was trying to drink it while we were fucking. It was going cold, he said. He's never lived that one down. Can you tell we are British? Edit. Thank you for the awards, kind redditors. Almost makes my boyfriend drinking tea while we were having sex worth it. Almost. And to answer your questions, the tea was a proper cuppa, black tea with a splash of milk. This is my favorite story on this whole thread. Drunk at a house party. Blowing my high school boyfriend in his very messy room. Gag reflex starts kicking in pretty hard. I've got a bunch of semen in my mouth, the room is dark, and I'm stumbling over junk on the floor when I lose balance. Struggling not to hurl after swimming 6 Keystone Lights from my throat going into overload. I had my hands over my mouth. I didn't catch myself before impact. Smacked the bridge of my nose into a dresser drawer knob. Bloody it. And effectively shoot a mix of blood and semen out of my face. Out of some weird place inside me. I usually laugh when I get hurt in some dumb way, like I'm my own personal episode of Jackass, but it's in first person. Boyfriend hit the lights and sees me giggling on the floor using my t-shirt to wipe my face off. He was not laughing in the slightest. Or the time I accidentally tangled my leg in a sheet, pulled to free myself, and kicked a guy square in the nards. That was pretty bad. Strawberry milkshake. How do I delete someone else's comment? She threw up on my dick twice because she decided to ignore her gag reflex. We're married now. Edit. Twice as in on 2 different occasions. Not in one sitting. We're married now. Naturally. Once you've embarrassed yourself that badly, there's no going back. I see it more like having presented that level of determination, devotion, and care at one's own expense is demonstration of being marriage material, in a comical sense anyway. We were staying with my boyfriend's family for Christmas. It was my first time meeting them. The second night of our stay, I sneaked out of my boyfriend's room with only his big hoodie on after sexy times to pee. His mother was standing behind the toilet door when I came out and said, "You know, these walls are very thin. Anyway, you want something to eat? Yeah. Whip me up a couple of flapjacks, Margaret. Now hold on while I spit out your potential grandkids. Ma'am, this is a Wendy's." Extra mayo it is. Lost balance taking off skinny jeans. Foot wouldn't come out in time and smashed a mirror with my face. At least something got to smash that night. Nice. Was going hard on her when I heard the bug out guy spray my windows. I thought the curtains were closed, so I kept going at it. They weren't. Preparing for anal with an ex-BF. I had done it many times successfully in the past and felt pretty confident about it. He lifted up my legs and asked, "Ready?" I said, "Ready as I'll ever be," and then let out the biggest, longest fart in world history. The farting wouldn't have been so bad if it weren't for my verbal response just moments before my sphincter decided to start singing. From then on, anytime I said ready in casual conversations like getting in the car, he would always say, "Ready as I'll ever be." My husband and I were going at it doggy style, and things were going very well. I started to have an orgasm, and due to the angle and the pressure, the world's longest fart slipped out. So I start to laugh. So I'm coming, laughing and farting all at the same time. My hubby took it like a champ and laughed with me until I calmed down. Hat trick. Throw a sneeze in there and we got a triple pipe classic. Tinder date got off onto my floor of my apartment building, but was fucking wasted and forgot which apartment was mine. So she started yelling my name as loud as she could. I opened my door to see all my neighbors standing in their doorway staring at her. She had a 6-pack of wine coolers in one hand and her heels in another. I told her to get in my apartment quickly and started apologizing to everyone else. Most just rolled their eyes and shut their doors, but the dude across the hall started clapping. Thanks 8F. Did you grab a beer with him afterwards? It was New York City. We all mostly kept to ourselves. Nah man. I saw this documentary about apartments in New York. These chicks lived across the hall from these dudes and they were constantly getting up to all sorts of hijinks together. They were great friends. I think your view of New York City isn't very accurate. Yeah, I saw that too. One of the guys even had a pet monkey. When my wife and I were teenagers we were about to have sex on her bed. Teenage boy hormones in full force. Pants around my ankles. Standing on the bed and I take a step back and I slip. My foot goes through the gap between her mattress and her bed frame and I fall backwards. My hand hits her ceiling fan. My back slides down her dresser. And my head hits her floor. I'm laying on the floor in a daze figuring out what happened. And she's just on her bed laughing at me. To this day she will have moments where she starts dying laughing just thinking about it. Freshman year in the dorms. One of the last days of the semester, a girl on a different floor invites me to come to her room and hang out. I obviously know what she's trying to do, so I ask her if her roommate is gone. She says she left for the semester. So I go down and get to her room, and we get started. We start talking a little, then started kissing. Then she starts sucking me off, and in a matter of minutes, I hear a card hit the scanner and the door opens to her roommate and her roommate's mom. Door swings open, and within seconds they slam it shut. I get dressed and walk out the door, while they are still just standing there in shock. As I walk away, I hear roommate's mom start raising her voice saying, "Are you serious? You have got to be kidding me," and stuff like that. Walking back to my dorm on my floor, I'm not wearing boxers and my shorts were slightly wet from her slobber all over my dick. People definitely saw and knew what was up. As for the girl who I was with, her roommate's mom basically kept calling her a slut and didn't let her daughter dorm with her this semester. Like, okay Karen, your daughter has had more sex than me. Chill. Wow, that mom was a bitch. Wasn't even her kid. That woman was a bitch. Regardless of being connected to the situation at all, judging someone for sex is fucking inane. Anyone that judges someone else for having sex, mind you I'm not saying completely going off the rails and fucking everything that moves is completely acceptable. But there's a large range of healthy medium there. Just outs themselves as a cunt, if you ask me. Mayo. When my girlfriend saw my dick for the first time, she said, "AWW. It's so cute." I didn't know how to react. What did she say when she saw your shampoo for the first time? OMG, that's huge. Looking at the little hotel shampoo bottle. Close bracket. MMF threesome. We're all on her bed and she's on top of him going at it reverse cowgirl. I stand up on the bed for her to blow me, and as I'm standing up they both yell my name and the ceiling fan. Before I could react, whop, whop, whop. On my forehead that left a good sized slice, although nothing that required stitches. Had a large family event the next day that required some creative explanation for the gauze pad taped to my noggin. You got into a fight with the lawnmower. And you won. My GF and I used to go out driving some nights back when we were still in high school. We lived in a small town, so it was a reasonable activity to take part in every now and again. She and I drove out of town about 5 miles and went down this back road to a little unowned farm property and parked there, assured no one would see us. We got jiggy with it, and upon reaching just about our curfew, I went to start my car up to drive us back home. But what I didn't realize was that my car did not have automatic lights, and I had not actually turned them off all the way. The battery was drained, and my car was not going to start on its own. I called all the friends I could think of to come help us out, so we could just sneak back into town. But to no avail. I'd have to call my dad. My dad, for the entirety of my life, has been someone I've been slightly afraid of waking up. He naps a lot, and always seems to do so right around the time I need to ask him for something. And he always sounds angry when I do. I can only imagine how he must have felt when I called him at nearly 1 AM, way past curfew at this point, to ask him to come and save us. But he did. I had to give him directions to this spot we had picked specifically because it was hard to get to, and eventually he got there. I had to get out of the car, my girlfriend watching, and work with him to get my car jump started again. Surprisingly, he didn't even seem all that angry. Just got my car started and went home, my girlfriend and I following close behind. To my surprise, he never asked/grilled me about it, and either never told my mom, or told her never to ask me about it either. Oddly, after that, I even felt like my dad treated me with an oddly heightened amount of respect, which hasn't dwindled since. TL, Dr. GF and I parked a car in the country to take things to the bone zone. But my car battery died, and I had to ask my dad to come save us. Edit. Just want to take a second to say thank you to everyone that upvoted. I love telling funny stories about myself when I can, and I truly appreciate knowing that other people enjoy them. Edits like this are super cringe, and they're bound to catch shit, but it doesn't feel right to not acknowledge other people's kindness. 3 INB4R/award speech edits.